Okay, so we have to install first SAP GUI, right?
Yes. We okay, I'll put it, download it somewhere and put it in the Google Drive and let you know where you have to download it from.
Okay, okay.
Okay, this this SOD system has another Java stack as well, SOJ. This is SOJ. So I think we saw how this file structure looks like for a Java system.
Prasanna, what exactly we are going to study?
Sorry, what is it?
No, no, I'm asking that which topic we are going to study.
The Java NetWeaver. SAP
Java.
Java, NetWeaver Java.
But before that, we have, I think, we have one topic that workload analysis and performance monitoring.
With that,
That
maybe we
topic
can
is
skip. We can skip for now. If needed, we'll skip system. So host name is where this server name, where this is the server name, and instance number is what you have to give the HTTP the host name. Host name is where the server is running. Colon 5 instance number. So this would be the URL for opening the Java system. So host name is where this server name, where this is the server name, and instance number is what is the instance name number for this Java engine. For this Java engine, instance number is 03. You can also find it from the profile directory. SOG is the SID, 03 is the instance number, and this is the host name. So if I want to open this Java engine, I'll be using HTTP. My instance number is 03. So I'll be using 03 then 00. If my instance number is 00, it will be 50,000. Since it's 03, it is 50,300. I'll be using this URL. Okay, this is the home page for when you open a Java system. This is the home page for it. From here, you can navigate to any other specific functionality, or mostly we will be using SAP NetWeaver Administrator. As a basis team, we'll be using this SAP NetWeaver Administrator. So you can come to this home page and click on this, or what you can do is you can directly call this URL homepage/NWA. So when you call /NWA, it will take directly to this NetWeaver Administrator. Now I come to the home page and I'm clicking on NetWeaver Administrator. So here you give username, password, and login. So this is a place where a basis team, where we do most of the administration activities in NetWeaver for the Java stack. So any configuration we have to do, we'll be doing this. This is the general administration page. And as you see, this Java system, similar to where we have like ECC system, PO system, SRM system. In Java, there can be different functionality, like examples where this Java, where NetWeaver Java is used, this enterprise portal system. Solution manager system. So these system use Java engine. So for all this any system, this administration page, NetWeaver administration page, will be looking similar. Only, but the for enterprise portal, the functionality for you accessing the functionality will be using a different URL. Similarly, for PO system, for accessing the PO specific functionality, we will be using a different URL. But the administrator URL, NetWeaver administrator, will be same. So this is where this is the home page. So we can go to this operation. If we go to this operation tab and click on start and stop, it'll be like you can go to different tab, and within the tab there'll be something like a sub tabs. If we go to SOA technical configuration, there'll be monitoring tab is one important tab where we'll go and check monitor. So let's we're not going to go in detail of all the details, but at least I'll show you some important tabs where we check. When you go to operations, systems, go to start and stop. So here you can see okay, here you can see like the same thing. What is the instance running there? And if you see the 03, that is the instance number, there will be something called instance ID. For each Java system, there will be an instance ID. Uh, so this is some instance important ID by which we can distinguish which is the number. So let's say here there is only one instance ID. So you only see one number. If there are multiple servers, you can see multiple instance IDs. I'll show you one system where there are multiple servers. Similarly, if you take one instance ID, here it will be having ICM, Internet Communication Manager, and there will be one server process. By default, there will be one server process. Server process is something like a threads. Not, I don't say it's a thread. I would say it's like individual process in Java. If it's a small system, I can create one process to handle the load. If it's a very big system, I can create multiple server nodes. Means they can process the request individually. See here, there is only one server and one server process on this one instance. For a large production system, we can have like multiple servers, 0304. Each instance corresponds to a separate VM, and within each instance, there could be multiple server process. I will show one example where we have like a production system. Okay. So if you see this one, this is the host name for this system. The instance name for a number for this server is 30. So my URL port number will have, this is called a port number. This would be called host name, or if it is having this extension .carat and all, you will be calling fully qualified domain name or host name, colon, port. When we open Google, see, when you open Google, you don't. This is called the host name. Here you don't see any port number. That is because by default, if it's when you're calling using HTTPS, it will by default it will call 443 port. So you don't see the port number. If I give 443 also, it will not make any difference, because when I call using HTTPS, it means it's calling port 433. 443. Sorry, 443. It's not 433. 443. So even when I type HTTPS google.co.in 3, it will hide the port number because I'm calling using HTTPS and 443 is the default HTTPS port. If I am running this Google's website on a non-default HTTPS port, I can run it on some other port also. Then I have to specifically mention that port number. Similarly, for HTTP sites, when you are opening some site on HTTP, the default port will be 8000. I think Google will not be available in HTTP site. Only HTTPS is available, so it automatically switches to HTTPS. But if there is some site HTTP site, the default port is 8000. But you see here, since we are not running the system on the default 8000 port, so we have to specifically mention I am running this server HTTP port on this port. So open my system on this port number. So this instance number is 30. So I call using this URL. So if I want to open the NetWeaver administration page, I'll type NWA. Okay, I open the NWA. We go to operations, start and stop. Here I have this system running on two servers. One is this POAP01 and another service POAP02. Here the instance number is 30 and on this server the instance number is 40. If I want to see, now I have connected to this. It's like in SAP GUI, without using load balancing, there could be, if you are having 3 servers, I can log into any of the 3 servers directly. But so now I have directly logged into the app server 1. I mean this server. If I want to log into this server directly, so what I would use is similarly same URL. I mean not same URL, similar one. But I will change the, now I'm logged into this app 1, so I use this URL. So for app 2, the host name is POAP02. So I'll be POAP02. There the port number is, instance number is 40. So I'll be using 40. Yeah. So if I use this URL, it will log me directly to the app 2 server. See, both are same system, but I'm using different application servers to log in. So if you see, both will have the same details only. Sorry. Both will have the same details, 30, 40, 30, 40. All details will be the same because the system is the same system. But here I have logged into the application server 1. Here I have logged into the application server 2. So once again, since there are 2 servers for this system, you see 2 instances, and each will have its own instance ID. This instance ID, the first 2 digits will be the instance number. Then these 5 digits can be some random number when you install a system. So here we saw in the earlier system, this is a non-production system. I had only one server. Within this server, I had only one server process. But here, since it is a production system uh, built for more load, for each system there is two server process uh, configured. So this could take individually some load will be handled by server one, some load will be handled by server zero, something like that. Similarly, this server has two server nodes. So this is one screen where we can come and check whether all processes are running. Something similar to SM51 in GUI. This is somewhere we can come and check where we see if everything is running or some process is not running. That we can come here and check. Okay. So now I have logged into uh, for using this URL, I directly log into any of the app servers. But in a production scenario, we would not be allowing the users to log into this URL directly. So what we do is we'd be using something called similar to SAP GUI where we use load balancing. We should be using load balancing for this Java system also. For these Java systems, for load balancing, we install a separate instance called a web dispatcher, SAP web dispatcher. Web dispatcher is not, it's like a very tiny, something called like a small client. It do not have any database and all. It's like very small executable, like where, I would say a 1 GB, 2 GB only the total installation itself will be. It's a very small executable which will be installed separately on a VM. And what we do is I'll log into one web dispatcher and show you. Production web dispatcher, okay. This web dispatcher is mainly used for routing or load balancing Java traffic. It will not be used for SAP GUI traffic. It will be used only for the Java traffic. Similar to any other system, this web dispatcher will also have one SID. So for this system, the SID is WP8. This is the SID for this web dispatcher. So I will switch to this user. 8 ADM. Okay. I think I'll see the web dispatcher architecture. I don't know if there is any diagram. Okay. Okay, if you see this, on the right side, this is my Java system. I have this central services, that CS01, and this is that J some instance number. These are different servers. Like here I have 3 VMs for this system. So if I want to do some load balancing, I'll have separate web dispatcher install. This is so when end users call, they will call this web dispatcher URL. So this web dispatcher, what it does it based on the load here, whichever is having less load, it will redirect it to automatically here. So this web dispatcher takes care of the load balancing. Okay. Going back this web dispatcher, similarly, if I go to USR SAP WP8, this will also have some instance number. Here the instance number is 00. There for ABAP system, you had, yep.
How you come to know that this WP8 is SID and not DKS?
DK, that I know because you can go inside and this DKS is called, this is a diagnostic agent. This will be installed in all the systems. It's for monitoring, for solution manager monitoring. This instance is there. That you'll come to know, like, since I know before this is WPA, this SID, I directly told. Or usually we will be for any client system, we'll be having something called reference sheet. I can show you for this customer, we'll use something called reference sheet. Because when some new persons come, he will not be knowing, right, what are the systems in this landscape. So there is something called, we will have the server inventory. So this is the server inventory for one of the customers. So these are these VMs for this customer is having around like 160 servers for different application, non-production, production, everything. So if I want to check for me, I was checking for PO production system. So I'll choose that particular environment, PO. If I want to choose the web dispatcher alone, I'm just filtering the web dispatcher. So in this server, so I logged into this server. So WP8, that is the SID. So there will be some reference Excel sheet for each customer. We will prepare it. So we'll know. In case, so if it's, even if it's not there, if we log into the systems, we can find out. I know this because DKS, this is a diagnostic agent we have installed for solution manager monitoring. This is diagnostic agent is like something like a, it will be installed on this VM. It will collect all the info from this VM, like what is the CPU utilization, is there any problem with the system, and this agent will send data to the solution manager system where monitoring takes place. So I know DK is for diagnostic agent. So the remaining one was WP8. So I directly went into this. You've seen ABAP system, you saw it will be something like the when I go to USR SAP SID, D instance number. For Java system, it will be J instance number. For web dispatcher, it will be W some instance number. Here, this web dispatcher doesn't have any database and all. It will only have the install some executables. So it's a very small installation. It will be like less than 1 GB. You see USR SAP, it will be like 1.8 GB only, the whole system size itself. Similarly, you can go to the profile directory and see. So this is the profile for this web dispatcher. Now I should, I just installed this web dispatcher. Now I should inform this web dispatcher. So you should connect to this backend system. So that we have to do one-time configuration. We have to do. We should inform, okay, which system you have to load balance to. So how I do is, I will mention it in this profile. I will mention the where I have to connect it to. So here I would mention okay. Here I would mention which system you have to connect it to. This is the if you see this diagram, message server host. Wherever my message server is running, I would give for this system where the message server is running, I would give that server name, and there will be a message server port. I will give this port number. This I would find it from. Did I close that session? I have closed that session. EP1. So this is my profile for the message server for this system. If you see these three, note down these three for this system. This is the PP1 SCS. This is the message server profile, and these J30, J40 are two application servers. So This is the in this system, this message server is for this system, this message server itself is running on a different VM. That is because for high availability, this is production system. So for in this system and all, this SOD system, if you go to this USR SAP, you would see SOJ, you would see the both the instance and message server are running together on the same server. But this is a production system, so it will be running on a separate server for high availability. So even if this one if one of the VM goes down, so there is something called this server is not affected. So if you go in this system, if you go to USR SAP PP1, you would see only J30. You would not see SCSC here in this folder. That's because this is SCS is running altogether on a different VM. But the profile you can see from anywhere because that SAP MNT is shared across all VMs. So when I go here, when I open this particular profile directory, so this is my message where my message server is running. This is the server where my message server is running. And I would have configured the port number 8101 port somewhere here. I would have configured here. This I would have configured the HTTP port for this message server is 81 $$ means it will take instance number. Means I could give 8101 or something, or I can give just $$ means it will take the instance number for this server. So I would give this details in web dispatcher. I would give, okay, this is my backend system, the host name and the port name. So once this is the only configuration I have to do on web dispatcher. Once this is done, this will, what this web dispatcher does it will connect to the backend system PP1 system, and it will find out what are the application servers available and how much it is loaded. Once it has those details, then it will do load balancing. So now I'll show you how I do this do load balancing works. So as you see here, I opened the system using app server 1 directly. Here I opened using the app server 2 directly. Now let me use this URL to open it. I'll use this is the where web dispatcher is running. I use this URL to call the system. Here you see it is running. Here it is running on a different port. Just it's running on a different port, not so I have to use this whichever protocol on port. I will use this protocol. It's running on HTTPS 400. Okay, so when I use this URL to call, what happens is now it will not go and directly hit the web any of the servers. It will go through load balancing. So now you see all three are same. This URL, this and this are all same. But the first, this goes to the app server 1 directly. This goes to the app servers 2 directly. This I'm going through a web dispatcher for load balancing. So end user, they will not know which server they have logged in and all. So for them, it will go and hit whichever server is available. It will go and we can find out which server we have logged in now. That we can, from as a basis admin, we can find out. But as an end user, they will not be knowing. See, all three are the same. I use different URLs to log in, but all go and hit the same system. So just for now, we remember web dispatcher is used for Java system load balancing. And one more thing is this server process by default.
Okay, on any. But President, tell me one thing. In the
yep.
Hello.
Yeah, tell me.
Yeah, but tell me one thing. In the last URL, why you have put 4 before instance number? Because before that we are putting 5 as before instance number.
Okay, 5 here you used 5. This is you're directly calling this app server, right? For app server,
Okay, okay.
instance number will be
Okay, so we are
5.
calling.
Yeah.
Okay, so we are calling from dispatcher.
If
Dispatcher. That's why we
using
have
a
write four.
this one, because we configure which we see this one, this port number I told you, right? It will be, these are all SAP standard. When you install the standard, SAP will create HTTP port for this app server on using this port number, instance number as reference. Okay, this we can see. If we want, we can change anytime. This is our under our control. Like if you go and see the profile, CD Pro, if you open this application server one profile, so to avoid, I'll just find only HTTP. I'm opening only that line, finding that line. So if you see here, we define. So I want to I'm running the system on HTTP port 530 something we will be defining. But this is the SAP default. Even if without defining, by when you install the system, this would be defined by default. But if you want, I can change this number. I can run it on a different port also. See, see if I want to call something like when if I don't want to give a port number and call it, I want to call something like just without a port number. If I want to call, what I can do is, if I run HTTP on 8000 port without giving any port number, something like just without a port number, if I want to call, what I can do is, if I run HTTP on 8000 port without giving any port number, it will open up. Because when you type HTTP some URL, it will go on HTTP default, it will go and try to open port number 8000. Similarly, HTTPS will directly try to open port HTTP will be default port is 8000. HTTPS is default port 443. When you open Google or any websites, you don't see a port number here. That is because it is running on the default 443 port. So if Google uses some other different port, no, apart from 443, it uses like a 553 means, then if they have started this HTTPS on 553 port, then you have to specifically mention 553, then only it will open. Since most of the websites, they would run on a default HTTP or HTTPS port 8000 or 443. So that's the reason you don't give the port number. But in SAP, we are not running on those ports. This is SAP specific ports. If you want, we can change it to default, but we followed SAP standard. So coming back to your question, why we and web dispatcher we called using a different number is because where is that? Okay, web dispatcher. Why we are calling this is because in web dispatcher I configured something like that. Here. Okay, here I'm running this HTTPS on this particular port number. So I have to use that port number to call. This is something we would call.
Okay.
If instead of this 44300, if I'm running it on 443 port, this HTTPS, so there are two ways I can call. I can call this URL using the 443, or without 443 also it will work, because 443 is the default port. So based on the whichever HTTP port you have configured, you have to call that port number where that HTTPS is running.
Okay.
So this is about load balancing, how we load balance the Java system and the web dispatcher for Java. So the web dispatcher is only for the Java systems. It's not or for any HTTP traffic. It's not for GUI. For GUI, we use directly inbuilt log on load balancing groups. So this is what web dispatcher. Let's go and see what all other things we can administer here. Okay, this is one thing where we can check whether any process is running or not. Then I go to home. Let me go back to the home directory. I'll go to configurations here. So here there are a lot of functionalities. There we use T codes, but here for most of the administration functionalities use T code. Like if I want to create any user, then I go to configuration. I go to identity management. So this is similar to SU01. This is where we create users for on the Java system. If I just click go, it will list all the users in the system. So, okay. So this is where we create the users. Okay. And if you go to SOA monitoring, and if you go similarly a lot of steps, if you go to logs and traces, sorry. Let's go here. And before this, this port, if you saw this one on this for this app server, there are two ports configured. You can call either on HTTP or you can call on HTTPS. If you want to call on HTTP, you have to use this port, or if you want to call on HTTPS, you have to use this port. But for web dispatcher, there is no HTTP port configured. There is only HTTP S port configured. So that's the reason I was using HTTPS for web dispatcher, because there is no HTTP port. But for this app server, I have both HTTP and HTTPS. So if I want to call the system on HTTPS port, here what I should do is, if I want to use HTTPS, I have to use port number 0, whichever is configured there. Here it is configured 53001. I have to use this 5301. It all depends on which port is configured. Okay. Now coming back here, okay. SOE. We can go to this each menu and we can search it, or we can, there's an option you can search here also. I'm checking for log viewer. Usually I go here log. So this is log viewer overview. This is something similar to SM21 in ABAP system. This is something where we go and check if there is user is reporting any issues. Here we go and check the logs. Here I can filter it. If you see here, it will be like a lot of, every second there will be a lot of logs. Here I can filter it something like I want to see only the errors, means I go in, I'll check only errors if I want to check some errors. So if I want to filter like for a particular user, I can use some filter here on the message. Let it get filtered. So I filter only errors. Here itself, if I want to filter for a particular user, so I can give the username or something here. If it's there in the message, it will filter only whichever error message is having that use criteria. If I want to, I can expand it and see full details here. This should be like a short text. When I expand this, I could see. So I can check the complete log here. So this log, I think I remember when we saw about the file system structure, I told you, if you see, usually USR SAP PPV1. Okay. J30. Usually there will be in ABAP system we saw this work directory. We go and check the logs in this work directory. For Java system, I told apart from this work directory, there is also one more directory where we check the logs. That is, we go to J2EE.
Yes, yes, J2. Yes.
J2E cluster cluster.
Server 0 and log.
Yes. Server 0 is there when there is only one server. Here, since this is a production system, we have two servers. We have two folders. Whichever server is having that problem, you have to log into that particular server. So if I'm taking it's a server 0 log. Here also I told there will be a lot of files. In a cyclic fashion, it will get overwritten. So this log viewer, where you see these logs, it would be picked up from this file. So it will be writing to this file. But when you go and open this file, it won't be in something like a readable form. It will be in a readable format, but it will be difficult to filter out and all. If you just open it, it will be something like this. It will be it might be different, not difficult. Sometimes it might not be easy, but the same thing you see it here on this log viewer in as a separate messages. So even you see this also tells where it picks the log file from. J2E cluster server 1 log application 1 log. So it will in turn read it from this log file only, but in a proper somewhat separate. For each messages you can see some separate tab, and it's easy for you to filter and find out. So the same log you can check from this NetWeaver administrator or the OS level. When system is running, you can check from both the places, but for some reason the system itself is not coming up, and I want to check the logs, means you can't check from this NetWeaver administrator because it will not open when the system is down. But still, this OS file will be accessible even when the system is down or system is up. So you can come and check here. It all depends from where we have to check whichever is comfortable for you.